lo chaza dhamma nyima ba chene ge ja lo da dhamma jide sum ye chu ge sha lan je ga sara jawa lan ne jom chaza den je da wa ge do ga wa je ne se be se ma karma ton da so ba nam je rab da chere wa ram bar chaza sar ngo chene je pe ma chene nam ran je ma ba da da she san je nye ma chaza ne shi be do ta ye nam ran je wa je Male bara chimba doembe anje vese geshen de ma chaza dudara wenje deda shoda namje gam chiten dumbo shabge de loba me bara gobra ne ma chaza ngeze me la zamba lula na zong jeje chumbar la tisa nam da nije shege dine de ma chaza taje janda be je para tukara dunje igen gem shege de me ba tuwa shindan bara ma chaza dore jikba che mo doje ba namra ne jen shege Tunye jen je on je riba da ba nam ne je ma chaza de ma je ma she ma na nge de she je nye saom da ya da de ben de ba cham ba je ba nye ma chaza ku ne kara ga ve da ne ne rab dan je ige je ben ane ko be riba la de ba nye ma chaza da de shen na da be hun ye na be sa be nye re ra men da ra da be je de sum na ye wa nye ma chaza la ye che na be re ja da je chen na Dharani je bege he je dana male banda se ma chaza la ye chane jambo la da myam je de kune ko chang ga we je zada me la nyam ba se ma chaza ni man da wan je be ji nyam ba la ra se harani je to da ra ye shin de da be ne se ma chaza de nye su na go be de da la ne je so na jamba de rab je ni ma za we nga je den ban de chaza wan ne ni shen za je
Các thầy đang tụng chú trăm âm để tịnh hóa. Hiện nay âm thanh của Pháp Vương, micro của Pháp Vương bắt đầu có tiếng rồi đấy ạ.
Ben de zaten zamaya manım.
Hello, check, test.
आज यहाँ पाल्नुभएको सबै ठुल्ठुला गुरुहरू खोन वंशजका रिम्पुछेहरू खेम्पो टुल्कु निर्वाणकाय भिक्षु भिक्षुनी उपासक उपासिका तपाईँहरू सबैजनालाई यो अहिले हाम्रो नयाँ वर्ष सुरु भएको छ। यो नयाँ वर्षमा म तपाईँहरू सबैजनालाई भित्र मनदेखि नै नमस्कार टक्राउन चाहन्छु। नमस्कार।
Good happens, and that all the difficulties and obstacles are dispelled during this new year. And then to prepare with the right motivation is extremely important, because when we prepare to receive in empowerment, it all depends on the motivation that one has. And so if we have the wrong motivation, not only it will not have any benefit, but it will bring a lot of bad consequences. And so if we have the right motivation, it is said that even though we do not know much, we will receive a lot of benefits.
यदि तपाईहरुको विचार तपाईले गर्ने भावना राम्रो भएन भने एकदम गाह्रो हुन्छ। त्यसकारण यो आयु अभिषेक लिन अगाडि यदि तपाईको नराम्रो विचार छ भने अवश्य पनि यो आयु अभिषेक लिए तापनि तपाईलाई नराम्रै हुन्छ। यदि हावा तालमा के भइराछ त भनेर हेर्न आयो तपाईलाई आयु अभिषेक यदि तपाईले आयु अभिषेक अगाडि एकदम राम्रो विचार गरेर आयु अभिषेक ल्याउँदा भने त्यसको फल पनि तपाईले धेरै राम्रो हुन्छ।
Zoom And so when it comes for the right motivation, the motivation that we should strive to have is thinking about all sentient beings that are suffering within the samsara, and generate the heartfelt wish of, may I do everything how nice it would be if I could by any means make all of them be free from suffering and reach full enlightenment. So because of the quality of the sound, I'm half guessing what His Holiness is saying, and so I excuse myself for that.
Phiên dịch tiếng Anh thì xin lỗi bởi vì là âm thanh nó Việt là bị trộn lẫn giữa tiếng
And so the ultimate, the real purpose of receiving an empowerment is to be able to reach full enlightenment. And then in order for that to happen, we need to accumulate a very huge amount of merits, and we need to purify a lot of obscurations, and for that purpose then come the temporary means, which are to have a long life, to have to be without any sicknesses, and that everything that we wish for is achieved. And so it is really important that you generate the motivation for receiving empowerment, that today I will receive this empowerment, and after that I will do everything that is possible for me to follow all the samayas and the engagements, the promises, and then I will practice everything that is in my capacities in order for me to reach enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings.
Tất cả chúng sinh hữu tình.
And so when you receive this empowerment, you should, with your body, sit in a respectful position without moving around. With your speech, you should remain silent during most of the time, except for repeating, etc. And with the mind, for every word that you recite or repeat, and for every part of the empowerment, to do it properly and make every word that you say correspond to what you think and what you consider that is happening. So you should have the right conduct with your body, speech, and mind. And so, since this empowerment, this practice belongs to the unsurpassable tantras, then it is really important that you consider that the place that you are found inside is not an ordinary environment, but it is a pure Buddha field, and that the people around you, such as pure Buddha field, such as Sukhavati, that you should not consider that people around you are ordinary sentient beings, but rather they are deities. And then you yourself also do not consider that you are an ordinary person, but that you are the post-meditation deity of whatever practice that you're doing. And in short, you should consider that everything that is seen, heard, and thought has the nature of the deity, meaning that every appearance should be perceived as every sound like the mantra and every thought like the wisdom.
Minh chú của Bổn Tôn, và tất cả mọi thứ mà chúng ta có được đều là trí tuệ của Bổn Tôn.
Signing Trumdarisu Maseve, Kaso Tama Negu Menga Tada, Sabatan Maseve, Tunyam Sushene, Ene Tubecoma Tomboshak.
And so the empowerment that we'll receive today comes from a practice that was revealed by Thangtong Gyalpo. And Tangtong Gyalpo was someone who lived at the same time as Jetson Kappa. He was his contemporary. And so even though in reality Tangtong Gyalpo was a manifestation of Padmasambhava himself, in the eyes of people, he was seen as a disciple of Padmasambhava, of Guru Rinpoche, and so he received, practiced, and passed on all the teachings and traditions from all the empowerments from all the traditions. And Tangtong Gyalpo was said to be a Mahasiddha, a great accomplished master, and there are still some things that we can see of his accomplishments, such as there are small amounts of earth that he gathered by going around the whole world in one day. This can be still seen today.
Cái năng lực mà có thể đi đến khắp nơi trên thế giới trong một ngày, thì đấy là điều mà chúng ta có thể nhìn thấy trong giây phút hiện tại hiện nay.
And the teachings that Tangtong Gyalpo received, the practices were not like when he was in dreams or by pure vision, but he personally, through magical means, went to Zangdopari, to the realm of Guru Rinpoche, and then from Guru Rinpoche personally, he received all the teachings, empowerments, and not only that, but then he also received all the great perfection teaching tantras, the 84,000 tantras of the great perfection from Vajrasattva, who appeared in the sky, and he received it together with Guru Rinpoche.
Và xuất hiện ở trên bầu trời cùng với đạo sư Liên Hoa Sinh.
Sakya Trichen Zula Khan Shanganayale, Kusum Duden Shanganayale, and then Hangbartuya, Kaptidu, Chushabatula, Mizu Patu, Dromaduba, Kangayuba Indian, the Hong with Zurugone, Jag Sambat and the Tugananche, Salaya, and the Truto, Jag Sambas, Jag Sambat and the Tanda, and was Jaya, Hong with Zurugone, Semana, the Salaya, Truto, Jag Sambas and Shuria in Bali.
And then after this, when he was still with in Zandopari, Guru Rinpoche told him that his activity would unfold in the snow of the lands in Tibet, and that he should go there and then do the welfare of sentient beings in Tibet. And so he went in Tibet, and then he benefited sentient beings there. He established monasteries in the most important places and powerful places in Tibet. He also had constructed support of the Buddhist speech and mind of the enlightened ones. And
come non mi arriva nessuna traduzione in inglese, ho pensato di leggervi
also
la
at that time
trascrizione di
people had a lot of difficulty crossing rivers crossing rivers, and so he, by magical means, he created and he built a lot of
al fine di ottenere per il bene di tutti gli esseri limitati come lo spazio la preziosa condizione dell'immortale Buddha Mitaios. Vi prego di ascoltare quel che vi dirò. Thangtong Gyalpo, il signore di tutti i realizzati, fu davvero benedetto da Guru Rinpoche, Guru nato dal loto. Da lui presero origine due lignaggi, una pratica nota come la pratica di lunga vita che concede gloriosamente l'immortalità. Il lignaggio della trasmissione lunga e il lignaggio della trasmissione breve. Il primo lignaggio ebbe origine dal Signore di tutti i realizzati stesso, cioè Thangtong Gyalpo, il costruttore dei ponti di ferro in persona, e lo trasmise a Tenzin Nyidazampo. Da questi il lignaggio venne trasmesso di generazione in generazione fino al mio Guru Radhika.
Ça s'est transmis
Secondo
de
lignaggio prese origine da
Tangtong
Moga
Gyalpo
una forma del franco flessibile che quando giunse il momento la trasmise sotto forma di un tesoro spirituale, di un terma, noto come indiscussa pratica di lunga vita.
Termas, and out of which the main one was Lama Shito, so the Guru with the rightful and peaceful deities. And so this one is based on the practice of Guru Yoga, and so it is said that any practice that we do is always dependent on our receiving the blessings from the Guru. And so this practice that we're going to receive now is based on that.
Rồi thì trong kênh tiếng Anh bị loạn bởi các cái kênh tiếng Ý và một loạt các kênh ngoài ngữ khác, cho nên là phiên dịch không nghe
And so the practice that we're going to receive now has been transmitted in two ways, by the long transmission and by the short transmission. And the long transmission means that it has been transmitted from the direct students of Tangtong Gyalpo to their own students, and progressively until the present days. And so the short transmission, short lineage, is that Tangtong Gyalpo appeared to some specific disciples and transmitted to them the practice directly. And so the empowerment that I'm going to offer you today comes from the short lineage, and it was revealed by Choje Lingpa. And so the practice, as far as the self-visualization is concerned, so it is visualizing oneself as Amitayus, who is the main, the lord of the family of the practice of Avalokiteshvara, the compassionate one, and the front visualization, so the deity in front of us, will be the one that comes from the pure vision of Thangtong Gyalpo himself. And so this practice is combining both the Dharma tradition and the pure vision tradition.
आयु अभिषेक हो यसमा टेर पनि छ र एउटा चाहिँ शुद्ध आभास भनेको चाहिँ ध्यान गर्दाखेरि थाङतोङ ग्याल्पोले नै प्रत्यक्ष दर्शन दिएको हुनाले यो टेर पनि हो र धानाङमा पनि हो यो दुईटै हो
गेगु दिशरा साबो दि चसुङ नालया सुदेव जासाले ता ना तोंडा रे मसाब देव इना इने लोजा छुब चसु मेस सुमल जे इंदु जाने छवादी मिलाया
and this transmission of the short lineage is extremely effective, extremely profound, so much so that it is said that even if we recite 100 times per day without interruption the main prayer, and if we recite 1,000 times the mantra, then it is absolutely certain, there's no doubt whatsoever, that we will live up to 100 years. And it is for that reason that this empowerment practice is even called the one for 100 years.
Đấy là lý do vì sao cái pháp hành này được gọi là pháp hành để được trường thọ 100 năm.
And so this empowerment has extremely profound blessings, because Thangtong Gyalpo himself, he lived up to 120 some years, and many of his students lived well above 100 years. And so this practice is extremely profound and full of blessings.
Do vậy cái pháp tu này có rất nhiều cái sự ân phước gia trì.
And so this practice is very different from all others in its blessings. And so now I have prepared everything. I've done all the preparation from my side for bestowing the empowerments. And so from your side, please develop the right motivation, the correct motivation for receiving and practicing. And then on that basis, please make the offering of the mandala.
Và bây giờ thì chúng ta cúng dường mandala.
त्यसपछि अनि हामीले अनि शरीर वचन मनलाई राम्रोसँग श्रद्धा गरेर यो अभिषेक लिनु पर्दछ
अनि छावा समस्या यो दराङ लुलौजे तुसुम द साबि गतावा त चबा नम्बर मेन्जर निसिरा निन्दा सुन्दा जब ल ट्रुने ने मेन्जर बुयादा नि सोआतेरा दिसेवर.
And so now please consider that all your body, your possessions, and all the merits that you have acquired or that you will acquire during the 3 times are all gathered, and you present them in the form of this mandala offering for the advanced, and then do these mandala offerings together with the repetitions.
Và chúng ta cúng dường mandala và chúng ta lặp lại theo lời đạo sư.
The earth is golden ground, completely pure. The circular iron mountain wall completely surrounds it. In the center is the letter Hum, Meru, the king of mountains. In the east is Purva Videha. In the south is Budvipa. In the west is Apara Godaniya. In the north is Utakuru. Behind them Madehan Vidaya. Chamara and Apara Chamara, Satan, Uttara Mantrika, Trina, Kuravan, Kaurava, the jewel mountain, the wish-fulfilling trees, the wish-fulfilling cows, the harvest which needs no sowing, the precious wheel, the precious gem, the precious queen, the precious minister, the precious elephant, the precious horse, the precious general, the vase of great treasure, the goddess of beauty, the goddess of garland, the goddess of song, the goddess of dance, the goddess of incense, the goddess of flowers, the goddess of lights, the goddess of incense, the sun, the moon, the precious umbrella, the royal banner victory in all directions. There is all the bountiful wealth of gods and men, complete and flawless. All this I offer to the Guru, who is inseparable from the principal deity of the mandala, in order to receive the empowerment of immortal life. Please accept it with compassion for the benefit of beings. Having accepted it, please grant your blessings.
Và hãy ban phước lành vì lợi lạc của tất cả các chúng sinh hữu tình. Chuyên chuyên trừ việc vinh diện dự môi chẳng dụ ý tuyên diện trò nhẹ rin chế bê mô rin chế về quân niên chế về những bộ la ta miên địa tiên dương bảo trợ chế và trái gia la niên bà quân tổ dòng nam trường chế chế quân niên chế về xem chế trừ việc trừ tiên đêm truyền chế chế nam chế yên quyền quyền lo chăm chế xem chế yên to chế xem bờ nam bờ chuyên chế chăm bờ chăm bờ chăm xe ran chăm đa lệ nam chế làm việc quân địa cor kilo quân to nam bờ chế chế ba quân chế nhện chế rồi chế đến trong chế nhện bờ bờ tan chế lon chế Thế giới chế về ngõ bờ na sinh chế quân chế đến chế quy bề chế la ô lô ra chế quân nè sinh bề trên đêm ba yên nè âm chế ta la chế về nhật quan điện ta chế đến ta sinh số sinh nè chính chế làm tu số mô guru buddha bun santo sampari vara ratna mendal Puja Mega Samada Sabaran Samaye.
Tetar mendebinde cumşa nimba metoda ce tamu jarde soa deva dijen de kunje inşe humboje.
Omniscient One, embodiment of primordial wisdom, who thoroughly purifies the wheel of existence. Lord, with your kindness, grant me this precious treasure of which you have spoken today. Accepting your gracious lotus feet, O Master, I do not have any other refuge. Enfant, hero for the sentient beings, please bestow upon me the supreme knowledge.
Tôi đã là có tin rồi, chưa sẽ bên một ban này nè, tôi sẽ là cho mà chị, tôi bảo tu sinh gì, nó cho ta là nào chứ, kinh nghiệm sẽ không bao giờ, sẽ biết con nam trong à, thì nên sẽ biết人间的，tôi đã là có tin rồi. Chưa sẽ bên một ban này nè, tôi sẽ là cho mà chị, tôi bảo tu sinh gì, nó cho ta là nào chứ,
So now that after the mandala and the request, then we need to do the 7-branch prayer in order to purify all sentient beings, all being. And so we should
Lama yidam sangye chanchu samba chusung nola jabzu chochko tengi hombo chambu tibatar ngusu shindu shugyo nyambe mebaze
अब तपाईहरुले यसरी
And so the visualization that we should do is that the main deity in the space in front of us is Thangtong Gyalpo. On top of his own crown is the protector Amitabha. At his throat is the rightful Hayagriva. At his heart is Guru Rinpoche. And all around him are all the masters, the root masters, the lineage masters, all the Yidam deities, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, and the wealth deity that are all assembled in an inconceivable, just like a huge cloud bank. And consider that in front of them, you and all sentient beings perform 7 branch prayer.
Chúng ta cùng với cả cha mẹ và tất cả các chúng sinh thực hành cái lời cầu nguyện 7 nhánh.
And then also consider that besides you are on your left and your right are your parents of this life, and behind them are all the sentient beings that are in human form behind you. And then whenever you do the 7 branch prayer, consider that all of you are doing it all together.
Tất cả các chúng sinh đều cùng thực hành cùng với nhau.
And so one of the important practices in the 7 branches is the confession, and then you should think about all the negative actions that you have done, all the wrongdoings, non-virtuous actions with your body, speech and mind. And so what is really important is that you confess, that you bring them to mind and take the promise to purify them and not repeat them anymore.
Tất cả những cái ác nghiệp đó và không lặp lại những ác nghiệp đó nữa.
And then the next branch is the one of rejoicing. And so you should rejoice in all the positive actions, all the merits that has been accumulated by the body, speech and mind, by yourself and all other sentient beings, all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all sublime beings as well. And so this branch consists of rejoicing in all the merits, all the positive actions.
Những hành động thiện lành của những người khác.
상계다 선주서만든지 사무동반이 전 냠버샤네 지동원도 제번 낭시 다기 장 뒤뒤에 수도 간동 사무동반이 전 또도 지기 인사면 담제 제버들이야 근데 전담 천주기 섬송의 야라송의
And the next one is the ultimate bodhicitta. And so bodhicitta, in general speaking, has 2 aspects, the relative bodhicitta and then the ultimate bodhicitta. And so this one right now is the ultimate bodhicitta, which consists in the realization of the true nature of emptiness. And so this is the nature of all phenomena that is beyond any conceptual characteristics or beyond any expression. And of course, this cannot be given rise to just by rituals or just by repeating something, but you have to meditate and develop it in this way. And yet we think that
lam tempa sanje kunjo, lam ngö chu kunjo, lam dribi chor gindu kunjo sumrit, chanju matu ki partu kyapsu jo sambat, kyapsu jo yala.
And yet in this branch we take the promise that we are going to develop it just in the same way that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past have done it. The next one is refuge, and so it is to consider the Buddha as the guide of the path that leads to enlightenment, the Dharma as the path itself, and then the Sangha as the companions on the path, and so to take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
Pháp Tăng.
And then the next one is the branch of the bodhicitta in aspiration. So the relative bodhicitta has two aspects, the aspect of intention and the aspect of application. And this one is the one in intention. And so it is the intention that I will do whatever it takes and use every capacity of mind in order to reach full enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. And so this wish is the bodhicitta in intention, and so that is what we should develop during this branch. And so to take the promise to develop this enlightened mind in front of the specific and very special object of refuge is this branch, and the next branch is bodhicitta in application, in action. And so this is once you have developed bodhicitta in intention, then you start doing the actual practice, developing the 6 parameters for your own good, and then using the 4 means of gathering sentient beings for the welfare of others. And so in short, we engage ourselves into applying and doing all the ocean-like infinite amount of activities of the bodhisattvas for the welfare of all sentient beings. And we make the promise that we're going to do that in front of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Trước tất cả sự chứng kiến của chư Phật, chư Bồ Tát, chúng ta sẽ thực hành như vậy.
And then once we have accomplished all these branches and all these practices for the welfare of all sentient beings, an extremely large amount of merits are derived from this. And so we dedicate all these merits that we have accumulated in this way for the benefit of all sentient beings, so that they can reach full enlightenment, and that is the branch of dedication. And so while thinking about the meaning of these 7 branches, please repeat the verses of the 7 branches. I take refuge in the 3 jewels. I confess of my wrongdoings and non-virtuous actions. I rejoice in the virtues of beings. And I maintain the mind of awakening to Buddhahood. I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly until I reach enlightenment. To fully accomplish the benefit of myself and others, I will arise the heart of the awakening. Having arised the supreme heart of awakening, I will honor all beings as my guests and uphold the supreme awakened conduct pleasing to all. For the benefit of beings, I will accomplish Buddhahood.
Vì lệ lạc của tất cả các chúng sinh hữu tình, con sẽ đạt được quả vị Phật.
전주 쪽에 semni 제기네 심전 탐제 다그 전등열 전주 조조 용원 제벌지 졸라 편지 상계 주버죠 군조 숨라 다집지 디과 탐제 수술사 조에 깨라 제라 상계 전주 이기송 산제 최단 초조라 전주 바드 겹수지 라신 되는 러드질 전주 섬니 깨버지 전주 쪽에 섬니 깨겠네 심전 탐제 다그 전등열 전주 주소 용원 잡았지 졸라 편지 산견 주버쇼 Tadi yerade batasum şevati pe kesim bre kayısına didar çapsu çoğalı dene ene camcı tombay topguyore şancu şodu semke varı dene şancu sembi tombay topguyore ene ngar top simatu ya yace yani konu pe topguyore ene yangar top ne ya 냠자 중앙에 저야 라 소소치에 임바 지산 되는데 대야라도 마사숨 시야데 베케첨버레
And so repeating the 7-branch prayer 3 times is extremely important, because when we recite the branch of refuge, then we are actually receiving the vows of refuge. And then when we repeat the branch of the bodhicitta, the branches of bodhicitta, then we're receiving the vows of bodhicitta. And so if we are someone who didn't receive these vows before, then we received it for the first time, and then if we did have received them before, then we improve upon them. And then if we had done any breach to these vows, then we repair them in this way.
Thì chúng ta có thể khắc phục được những cái giới nguyện đã bị phá hủy.
And so in the next part of the empowerment, then we need to dispel all the obstacles for the empowerment. And so consider that the Guru is going to appear in the form of the rightful King Hayagriva, and then he is emitting a lot of flames, and he's going to dispel and to get rid of all the obstacle makers, and then to make them go very far away.
Hiện thân thành Đức Mã Đầu Minh Vương màu đỏ và có 3 mặt và 6 tay.
다시 주기 점바 이시 세계 점바 이시기 매번 바에 롱지도 주부 고전도 사르람 구순도 기내다 바비 부가 탐제 나란다 초구셔와를 좀 중화 도전도 양주 도전도 서시 판단 나게 ჩვ탐지 경바점도 중대 결혼으로 왕꾸르왔다 치매제 우주 삼아 터버셔봐라 발도 줘버셔비 등게 로버트 메처탐지 계지기 타이자즈 파로도 제베메 바 Tene Otam Jetoji, Soji, Lotam Jetoji, Rawata Chawa, Tentam Jetoji, Kurtara, Shirotam, Shikime, Ratumba, Sume Color, Juro, Bezra, Jaraja, Bezo, Bezra, Jaraja, Bezra, Jaraja, Bezo, Shechebe, Temper Shebe, Meva, Tene Tawan, Mishilet, Tajin Shuba Nashi, Tingo Zote, 주신 Thangtong Gyalpo 되어래. 이 Thangtong Gyalpo 군도 문나 시진 바로 우자다 미만마라 아존 세큐게와 로잘은 맹안주제 냠샤겠다나 시민체이 품바 빠슴 신기 가지나 제바 발제송을 제도 땅을 쳔만 남바 레가르지 나서 지만 메버서 리다제 박베 대항을 수고 텐지지 사다
And so now for the main empowerment, we should visualize in front of you, in the middle of the mandala, that there is Tangtong Gyalpo, the Lord of all the accomplished ones, and his body has a dark brown color, blazing with splendor. His hair, eyebrows, mustache, and beard shoots out golden flashes of light. He has the appearance of a 100-year-old person. With his two hands in the meditation posture, he's holding a long life vase that is undifferentiated from the empowerment Toma. And its mouth is marked by the heads of Hayagriva.
Và miệng của ngài được đánh dấu với khẩu của ngài được đánh dấu với Đức Mã Đầu Minh Vương.
Tangtong
Gyalpo wears immaculate white colored clothes, robes, and is sitting in full lotus posture on a seat made of an antelope skin. On top of his head, there is a Buddha of limitless light, red and brilliant, with the Nirmanakaya attributes, holding a long life face with his two hands in the meditation posture.
Ngài ngồi ở trong tư thế kim cương kiết già và mang gấm vóc màu trắng và ngồi trên một cái tấm da hiêu và ngài cầm bình cam lồ trường thọ.
In Tangtong Gyalpo's throat center, there is Hayagriva, red and brilliant, who is brandishing a lotus mark staff on his right hand and holding a kapala filled with blood with the left one in front of his heart. Wearing the 8 channel ground attributes, he stands with his right foot slightly bent and the left one stretched.
Từ tâm của các vị Phật và Đức Đạo Sư Liên Hoa Sinh, những tia sáng năm màu và cam lồ bất tử tuôn chảy.
In Tangtong Gyalpo's hand, there is the great lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava with a pinkish-white complexion, holding Vajra and Kapala. So in his hands, he holds the Vajra and Kapala, and within the Kapala, there is the long-life vase. He wears a gown, a monastic shawl, a brocade cloth, and a lotus hat, and is sitting in the adamantine posture.
Ngài mang rất nhiều các cái y phục rất là đẹp và ngồi ở trong tư thế vương giả.
And then all around them, like great heap of clouds, there are all the deities of the sublime beings of the tree roots. And so the root of the blessings, the lamas, the root of the accomplishments, the yidam, and the root of the activities, the dakinis, and the guardians of the dharma. And so there are all around them, there are all lamas, yidam, dakinis, dakas, and protectors and guardians of the dharma, and all the vidyadharas who have the power of life.
Tất cả các vị Phật, các vị bổn tôn, các vị không hành mẫu, các vị không hành nữ.
Then visualize yourselves in front of all of them and repeat after me 3 times the following prayer in order to request the accomplishment of the immortal life.
Và chúng ta lặp lại theo lời đạo sư để thọ nhận được tinh túy của rằng
Buddha Amitabha, limitless light, you care for us, each and everyone.
Và Đức Phật
Lord Amita
trường
is
thọ,
boundless life. You grant us immortality.
ban cho con tất cả
All
những
powerful
cái cam lộ
Hayagriva,
trường
you
thọ.
eliminate every obstacle we
Đức
face.
Mã Đầu Minh Vương ban cho chúng con tất
Padmasambhava,
cả.
you are our
Đức
refuge
Nhân
in the
Sinh Hóa
darkest of
Sinh
time.
là Ngài là đối tượng quy y của chúng
Thangtong
con.
Gyalpo, you never fail to answer
Ngài
our
Thangtong
prayers.
Gyalpo không bao giờ
Now I pray to
từ
you
bỏ
and
chúng
dispel
con, và bây
everything
giờ
and
con
favor
xin
every
cầu nguyện
obstacle.
Ngài
Fill me,
và
transform me
trước
with your
tiên
blessing,
trước
grant
mặt
me the
tất
city
cả
of
Ngài,
immortal life.
xin hãy ban cho chúng con tất cả những thành tựu và tất cả những hạt giống cam lộ trường thọ.
Thangtong Gyalpo soda roame, soade sukaji marjoso, shingelo shishime ngoruzo, shi, nawataye jogunje sukyon, seba mekyon jola shimeter, tanji wanja jowe parjise, yama june nidu jowe gyab, Thangtong Gyalpo soda roame, 소환도 수까지 맞아서 신경 없이 심행 거르죠. 마마라니 지윈데 구르베마 korda 비니가나 아유시디 시시시 마마라니 지윈데 구르베마 korda 비니가나
Ngài đang ban câu chú ạ.
Marani Jivinde Gurubama Korda Penigana Ayusidi Atati Miasudi Gazareta Na Tonda Mashapa Deva Ina in the Loja to a Tesla Mesuya Sudi Tanda Jindu Shema Tapatiri Tagana Shinga.
And so I was saying before that if you recited 100 times the main prayer, and if you recited 1,000 times the main mantra, there is absolutely no doubt that you will live up to 100 years. That was said by the teacher, and so that is the prayer and the mantra that you have recited right now. And so there is no obligation that you should absolutely recite it without interruption. But if those who know and wish to do that do so, then there will be extremely vast benefits.
Chúng ta sẽ đạt được rất là nhiều cái lợi lạc to lớn vĩ đại.
Ramada Chigar Dine, Sering Bukurana, and Sabamero Soata would attain to Pumpatsabamek Sodina, Dina Yore.
And so the reason why it is it has so many blessings is that we wish to have a long life. We do many different things to have a long life. We received long life empowerment. We have practices made on our behalf for that purpose. We do many things, and yet if we want a long life, then we should pray to Amita Youth, and then he is included in this prayer.
Đến Đức Phật Trường Thọ.
And then also in our life we wish to avoid all obstacles and problems, etc. And so we make wishes, we make we would like very much that this happens. And then in order to dispel obstacles, there's no deity better and more powerful than Hayagriva. And then Hayagriva is also included in this prayer.
Đức Mã Đầu Minh Vương cũng được chứa đựng ở trong cái phần cầu nguyện của chúng ta.
다가나시 히말라야 리규 미조레 구르르 미첼야 투모 마임베 달레다 메람기 제바 요임베 베라 상기기 템바 토마 타야야 구르르 미지까지는 때네 타라레 ene pardu gün ringbole ya long jada mambe ringle ya sanji temba tashin jeba yoya te ya guru misi kadina te ne chumbare ene tanda ta tuga nyenjan je nidesi kabla yina ya ene sange shenle tuji habar de nyorote guru misi yimbar de yindu chane guru misi sonde cha dina le yorde.
And so if we think about the ability of all Buddhas to fulfill our wishes and to unfold their activities, they do not have any difference in terms of one is faster than the other. And yet, because of our own previous karma links and our own prayers and aspirations done in the past, then there is difference in how fast and how effective praying to one Buddha is over to the other in order to see results. And so we as people from either from Tibet or from the Himalaya region have a specific link and a specific connection with Guru Rinpoche. First, because he was the very first teacher who came to Tibet to establish Buddhism in the first place. And after that, the very fact that Buddhism remained in Tibet for hundreds of years is solely thanks to his kindness. And then the fact that today it is still present and still completely alive and that we are able to practice it is still solely due to his blessings. And so making prayers to him and addressing our wishes to him ensures that they are answered as fast as possible.
Và các ngài sẽ trả lời chúng ta rất là nhanh nhất có thể.
And then the main master of this empowerment is Thangtong Gyalpo, who is a Mahasiddha coming from Tibet itself. Not only that, but he is also a non-sectarian Tibetan master who practiced and transmitted all the different traditions without any limitation, and he is revered by all.
Ngài được tôn trọng bởi tất cả các truyền thừa.
He's revered by all the Tibetan traditions, and so his prayer is also there. And then at the end of our life, there is a moment when we will need to die. And so when we die, we usually all make prayers in order to be reborn in Sukhavati, the Buddha field of Amitabha. And so in order to be reborn in the Amitabha's field, then we need to make prayers to him and to acquire to make prayers to him. And so this prayer is also included here.
Và cái lời cầu nguyện đến ngài cũng được có bao hàm ở trong lời cầu nguyện này.
미세 담자시지 되는 거야도 요 말이네. 지난주 균도 된터바이나 엔베 마시브 내가까지 발치시하다. 더도 있는데 대화적인 신검도 깨야 다소바다 진짜내서 두번 중에 임발을 들려인도 자는 데는 되는 거야 계신분들.
And so it is for that reason that after you have received this empowerment, if you are able to recite this prayer on a daily basis, it will be extremely beneficial. Of course, I'm not saying that you need to do that absolutely and that otherwise it will not be good, but do not take it in this way. But it will be extremely beneficial for yourself, either in this life or the next or in between lives. In all situations, it will be beneficial for you to receive blessings, to dispel obstacles, to have a long life, and etc. And so it would be really good if you are able to recite it.
Tangtong Gyalpo, 공부 세바메, 공부 밤에 대다그 신감 소소네. 이네 투지 신화 탐제 요새 가동한데 심에 뒤질랜다 제가 가 보유주가 되고 전에 근데 저라는 지지우주 발비부가 왕벽 권난에만 또 참으라 가 봐봐 양주 신보라 잘 봐보신데 십십팀네 심에 세용으로 말려봐 토종냠배 매가죠.
And so now please consider that you make prayers and then you entreat the activities of Amitayus, of Tangtong Gyalpo, of Gurumachy, of Hayagriva, and of Amitabha, and then all the blessings are emitted by them in forms of their own specific forms, and then they dissolve into you just as a storm, a snowstorm, or a rainfall that falls into a lake and creates a great ocean. Think that all their blessings dissolve into you in this way.
Rơi lên trên thân của chúng ta và hòa tan vào thân của chúng ta.
And then think that after having received this nectar within you, that everything negative is purified from you.
제 구배에도 로베기 두가지 친구를 하면 망벌줘네 저런 남들 라즈 냠바다 야와도 라서가 탐주 꾸네 니게 체된다 주제남으로 팀베 팀에 체 무주 말려봐 토주 냠베 매바죠.
And then now, in order to gather the long life and longevity, consider that from the heart of the Guru in front, deities that the hook longevity are emitted in great number, and then they go all around the universe and then gather back any vital force and long life that had been stolen, taken away, scattered, and degenerated by the eight by spirits and other beings, and that they all gather back into you.
Và được thu hồi và quay trở lại hấp thụ vào chính chúng ta.
Rinjen Riji Kandro Bundan Jen Tata Jamo Kandro Tonam Torje Tijo Gubele Deji Oma Marande Jindai So Shri Marmo Joma Wangelan Jema Pema Riji Kandro Bundan Tata Jamo Kandro Tonam Jen Torje Tijo Gubele Deji Oma Marande Jindai So Mojo Madaveda Jema Legeriki Kando Bundan Tedajamo Kando Tonam Ji Torja Velet Mamaran Judajo Mamaran Judajo Mamaran Judajo Tower the Juvashi Padarama Samano the Chunda de Combatata But maybe House of Court and Jovanam Jitojo Rama Denam Jitse Mishi with Tojo Minjuri Yung the Minue Jamden the Chimete rinzinge barjo je sakira mari dam kando ye tuta nebe chela bongye gaje ne de baje shiwa tsada shishime nguru zo ta tene tse duyak chedo ene judo chimbi chagi pumbe nam 주 치면 세 주담지 두약 제 두건데 세 말부 적규 이제 받으면 저 동심지 동심부 지변이 감 탐지를 잡는 대단한 저런 남지 되는 라스 규바 체로와 야와 냠바로 서버 탐지 주 뒤에 주도 준비 차기 보면은 주
And now, in order to gather back all that longevity, please consider that from the heart of the Mahasiddha, the red lights are emitted in forms of hooks, and then these hooks fill the entirety of Bidil 4 universe like magnet attracting iron powder, the summon from everywhere, all the long life and vital force that has been stolen, taken away, scattered, and degenerated by the 8 negative classes, as well as the life force that has been forcefully taken through the mantras, substances, the concentration of powerful Buddhist and non-Buddhist practitioners, all of it dissolved and fell into the long vase in the hand of the Mahasiddha.
Tất cả an hòa và bình trường thọ tràn ra và tràn vào đỉnh đầu của bạn, lấp đầy mọi kênh dẫn trong cơ thể của bạn, giúp bạn trở nên bất tử, kiên cố và trẻ mãi không già.
And likewise, the light rays extend to everywhere, to the 4 elements exist, and all the essence of the earth element, firmness and solidness, found in Mount Meru with 7 golden mountains, the 4 main continents and the 8 subcontinents, and the rings of irons and mountains, all the essence of the water and the 4 elements are gathered. And likewise, it gathers knowledge, love, powers, and majesty of all sentient beings in general, and specifically the wise panditas, the powerful kings, and the mighty Vidyadharas in the form of moist, immortal nectar, emitting 5 colored rays of light.
Đều được hóa thành các cái chuỗi ánh sáng.
And similarly, these rays of light in form of hooks, they gather all the qualities of the Buddha, of the root and lineage masters, of all the masters and deities and protectors, all the qualities, and then they dissolve into the vase.
Và được hòa tan vào trong bình trường thọ.
Tene nedön digri parça mi çaşin ta çata sonunda yeşil soba konde kondu peşin gene tene çiva me be çe güba me be langzo dağden şumşiden çava kombu çata işi bağdı me be kurkür sonya me batı.
And then consider that this nectar that is thus filled inside the long life vase of Tangtong Gyalpo, without being wasted or spilled elsewhere, the entirety of the nectar enter. Yes, the main deities also, so the vase overflows, and then consider that this overflowing nectar enters you by the entrance of crowns of your head. It fills your bodies and reaches even your thinnest channels. Thus consider you become the proper infinite life and wisdom, which is permanent, stable, indestructible, and endowed with immortal long life and unfailing yao.
Và giúp cho chúng ta trở nên mạnh mẽ, bất tử, kiên cố và trẻ mãi không già.
Chingalo jishime ngulu zo mahamara njivinda kulubema kulubinijana. Ayushi teshiri mahamara njivinda kulubema kulubinijana. Ayushi teshiri mahamara njivinda kulubema kulubinijana. Ayushi teshiri chime tse julenji rashi tabji ze. Keranamji cha yesu puwala tene tabde wachimba shoto mingyurwa. Dorji tse ngulu to veme
Next, consider with full confidence that being offered in your right hand the substances of method endowed with the nature of quintessence of immortal longevity, you obtain the method of great bliss, the accomplishment of the supreme, immutable Vajra longevity. Next, consider with full confidence that being offered in your left hand the substance of wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness, you obtain the accomplishment of Vajra longevity that nothing can disrupt.
Hội chúng chư Phật ban cho những lời cát tường và dưới hoa Mandarava để gia trì cho sự thành tựu của chúng ta.
In order to stabilize the accomplishment and blessing, consider that the assembled deities and retinues visualized in front of you, together with the greater and lesser Vidyadharas, with power all over longevity, utter words of auspiciousness and Tronyun, and stabilize the blessings and accomplishments by showering upon you Mandarava flowers.
Quán tưởng rằng là tất cả chư Phật, chư Bồ Tát, chư vị bổn tôn ban những cái lời cát tường và dưới hoa Mandarava để gia trì cho sự thành tựu của chúng ta.
And so, with this, I have completed the Dharma connection through this long life empowerment. And now, since there's a lot of people who ask me for a protection prayer to Vajakilaya, then I'm going to do this. Please make good prayers.
Kim Cương Phổ Ba. Bây giờ thì thầy sẽ ban cái lễ gia hộ ca khô Kim Cương Phổ Ba cho tất cả quý vị đại
Tira Bazakorda, Midakunda, Bazakorda, Teloja, Biza, Bazakorda, Mabala, Pota, Bazaya, Kinunza, Bazabera, Bazara, Midam, Bazamara, New Jojo, Mara, Yamakara, Nixala, Yami. Sozala Yami, Nila, Titi, Sola, Tita Sola, Tum, Ready, Nura, Sola, Shishi, Nizaz, Uru, Shishi, Kukundana, Sozo, Tartma, Mishiri, Karaka, Makara, Marasan, Parmadani Umde Yanda Vajob Sangi Shuku Kundu Sambalungu Doji Simba Chuku Bama Juni Kalawan Soma Kundoji Kashara Yende Kansuri Jabu Kundu Dojira Kankejo Kankiatan Kwan Babu Kushaya Durokoro Jara Duroko Kujabu Kansaya Buchibu Kungu Kalawaram Bachi Sunazuma Kanchi Zirum Bachi Tawachan Kanchi Jisaki Benita Kwanjo Komisiya Koba Nema Purima Kungata Jalosa Shonde Kandema Kushi Kamari Yan Shisharamata Masananga Laji Kuwajas Tishi Yavanga Wadija Nakajas Tashi Jagar Shurajas Jangos Najang Agam Wajija Sona Mungaja Tawala to Jango Mosana Sona Najang Kuwatashi Jasona Sachi Kuwata to Jawadi Mabama to Donju. No, Kuwajas the Tisha the Shirin when you water Rita Jingurjas the chapter calling Maba Sakya Vichamungaja Matamima Yavjitoji Chimungan Kugas the Tashi Rabejan the Vasa Bukati Suma Majivishan and the Tazakatan Matamba Mejabi Channel and Tukji Demba Konsushi Javarida Jingujas the Chapter Kulugum. Kenjatamji Kematoshi Shangawan to Shembening Motoshi Ravikans and Bass, Kadin Suma Majivishan and the Kangi Jasov, Chevron Dorjis and Machamangawan to Tenzin Yumbo, Rikinjata Kenjatamji Kematoshi Chamba Jamba Sambajam Weekends Toshi Sugi Lord, Jela Matoshi Shangawan Lord and Jibga Tijan Toshi Shangawan, Carol Rishikas. Tashi Trabikan the Bass and Mukatin Suma Majivishan and Najibardu Shimbitawa and Jibarjibi. Padera Matamanam the Sangachitangi Children. Then soon Tamjin Gazu Kotan Jivanam Gisatan and Batinam Tangden Satan Jugorki Nerva. Odon the Satan in Nerva, Partin Jumikasing in Nerva Sutana. Lundi Pegati was over Tungin, someone to Joros of Netam. Logeta Shakal Sobakang, the Chestions Moshi to Shilos of a singing Jirita, Better Bodoros of a singing never subject Gerita, Tosser Cyrus, Jombe never the Parody Mazo, Tasa Chungush, Donna Gajim Barjim meeting, Bishop of Juniors, King set us on the bar the Jobokordan, Shami, Shanjuki, some of someone. Dawayat you want the corner conservation get the summit and the You should have returned to the judgment and Tita to someone the Javas about. Go return the Manza to so Javas the mission of the project position. To what in the dark source and get in a second never much is John Baza Raja Rajam. Umbaza Raja Rajam, Bezumbaza Raja Rajam, security on Rajas issue at the meeting never can. The Vadu business of a trusty together the television mount should now the Seven make a draw at the 31 January purchase the Pamajun and you did direct a Tangtong Gyalpo Amaran June the Kuribama got the Vinegar should the Roger Negaton on the children and the Jubis the Watcher. She burned mental legend of course Medusa the Chasa Jimmy Jira Chebe Dashi Show. Or that thing shedding in Basimbaye and the child someone. Kale Shimbachep in the mixer Yongre, and the Yomba turned at them as Shekwa, Kashimbre, one Saji, the Benga, Soseki Lamaji Dune, one Saji Tobe, Haleaske, Yomare, and the Kachi, the Namsha Gundune, and then someone log Simgi Sambusiata. And then the Diwapaya, Gawatrivia, Samba Sambusia.
And so until now, with this I have completed the parts of the Dharma connection that I have been requested to do right now. And so at the same time, the most important is not to have received once the empowerment and blessings from a lama such as me. His Holiness is being humble, saying that he is an ordinary sentient being. And but the most important is that from now on a daily basis, then you engage into you make sure that you engage into virtuous actions, that you avoid negative actions.
và tránh những hành động xấu ác.
And then it is extremely important for all of you to also to do things that correspond to the samayas that you have taken.
Phù hợp với giới nguyện mà các quý vị đã thọ nhận. Có đạo hữu hỏi là pháp trường thọ này có ghi quỹ không? Thì là có ghi quỹ bằng tiếng Việt là ban tổ chức đã gửi ở phía trên. Ở trong cửa sổ chat, quý vị đi lên trên một chút, quý vị sẽ thấy ghi quỹ bằng tiếng Việt ạ.
And so you all here, monks and nuns in the audience, it is extremely important that you make a lot of attention to whatever you do, because usually when we talk about samayas and then the vows that we have taken, it is something to be benefited by oneself. But in this day and time, if one person, one monk or one nun practices well, studies well, and then conducts himself or herself well, then it will have an effect on the whole community, and then at a large scale. And then if that one monk or nun does something bad, it will also have a very bad effect on time.
Thì nó cũng có những cái tác động đến một cái phạm vi rất là rộng lớn.
And so the times that we live in today can be extremely beneficial, extremely fast, and can be extremely negative, extremely fast as well. And then, generally speaking, everyone wants to be happy and wants to avoid suffering. Everyone wants and wishes for having something good in his or her life. And so this all depends on what we do right now, in the good heart that we are able to develop in our minds. And so it is just like it said, if you wish to know what you have done in your past life, look at your present situation. If you wish to know what you will be in your future life, look at your present actions. And so what we will become and what experience we will have in the future solely depends on our present actions and the karma that we are accumulating right now. And so because of that, we should avoid and the basis of all positive actions start with good heart, and so we should avoid bad heart, even starting from towards an insect.
Và dù là từ chỉ rất bé như là việc làm tổn thương một con côn trùng.
And so it's really important that we develop a kind heart and then a good heart, as this will start unfolding every the virtue and positive thing for us in the future. And so we should also strive in order to develop good actions and avoid negative actions.
Những hành động thiện lành thay vì những hành động bất thiện.
Shira Kamuta, the Nyata Chork, the captain, also number Samalo, Kasorji, Poverty Goyaji, Tendeki Pepe Massiva, the Nizu Yabushi Chunson.
And so also something very positive that has happened recently is that there's this group of Theravada monks in the United States that did this work for world peace. And so it is something that is extremely positive. Everyone in the world followed it and everyone appreciated it. And so this is us, for all of us Buddhist practitioners, it's something that rises our confidence in the path we have entered in, that we are following. And so if we rejoice in such activities and things so positive that are being done, and if we back that up as much as we can, then we also are going to receive virtue.
Kasakaya Mambu Mase Kasakanira Tanda America Iran Balia Mandu Shembu Sanje Tati Zabuling Naria Mandu Shembu Jilayage Nyanga Shembu to Tilatamje Milamba Mandu Tamje Ramar to Shine Semje Tamje Shidin Dekaja Pala Yalon Suju Tuya Tame and the Melam Jana will Michiki Melam Javata Mi Mambo Chojik to Dune, Maram Javanilia, in Nuva Chijung, Chabar Shambuyor, so that the Tandang around the Shuru Direction, Digabra, Saman Yam to Zomche, Yutu, Same and Dungshu Chikri Torne, Maram Javanina, then Pengil, so that the Modu to the Tata New to Shine, Mitam Tunge, the Lugin, Nasa Semki Tunge, Tata New to Shisha. In the mountain covered Jelly Shimbatoya Caswar Tanjo Luto, the Jimji Jun and in the numbers of Sangia Toyata, Tagana Jitata, Dunga in our suite, but they get their new to Dunga Torne, and the Stamalo, she didn't take the Rajas of Palia, Ronjo Tuyari, and the Melanja, the Cassambury.
And also these days we can see that there's a lot of natural catastrophes that are happening. There's a lot of fires, there's a lot of floodings, there's a lot of very forceful winds, and so all that. There's a lot of different natural catastrophes that are happening, and on top of that there is also a lot of wars that have been that are undergoing right now. Just recently, yesterday or something like that, America has started a war against Iran, and so there's a lot of people who have lost their lives, and this has the potential of becoming a very vast scale war around the world. And so what we should do is to make all our prayers so that this does not happen, that everything pacifies, and then all the natural catastrophes, and that all the war cease. And so making one wish from a single person has this much power, but if we are gathered and a lot of people together make prayers and then make the wishes that this does not happen, that the power of the group prayers is much more potent. And so because we are all gathered here, a large group of persons, and then at this very special day and very special occasion of the the day of during the month of the Buddha. And so if we make prayers and then make wishes that all of this suffering is pacified, that the war stops, that all the natural catastrophes stop, and not only that, but all those people who are suffering because of the war, their bodily suffering ceases and their mental suffering eases as well, and then those and so make prayers that all those who have deceased be able to obtain human life, and that those who are suffering right now cease to suffer, and that their ailments also stop. And then also, generally speaking, when thinking about His Holiness Dalai Lama, then we can see that since ever he has been taken all of us under his care, just like a mother taking care of her only child, and he has given us a lot of teachings, a lot of advice that we can see, that we can consult, that we can play over the internet. We can see what he's doing right now and everything that he's saying, all the advice that he has given, and then we can also look at whatever he has told and taught and advised in the past over the internet. And so we should not only leave it as that, but we should listen to his advice, his teachings, and not just leave it as something that we have heard once and that is very nice, but we should apply it to make sure that we put it into practice and always try to see whether what we are doing is in accordance with his teaching and his advice. And so there is nothing better, nothing more profound than fulfilling the wishes of one's teacher, and so that's what we should do.
Đó là cách thức tốt nhất để làm hiện thực hóa tất cả những cái mong ước của một bậc đạo sư, một bậc thầy, và những điều mà chúng ta nên làm.
Enough for the requests. Bhagavat. Blessed One, whatever you comment, all of that I will do.
Thầy ban cái lời cầu nguyện để ban sự gia trì cho tất cả các đạo hữu.
So now the mandalas, Thanksgiving offering.
Bây giờ là cúng dường mandala để tạ pháp.
No balanje cha dame nye le da le ba ngayam da ngayam shi yenden da lam chon do dame nyen da dame nyen yen da rimro je rewo pazan je she de je yen ba ma me pa ye londo korlo rimro je Norbo rimbronje, Tsumo rimbronje, Lumbo rimbronje, Langbo rimbronje, Tajo rimbronje, Mambe rimbronje, Tere Chembo Yembomba, Ingeba Ma, Tenwa Ma, Lema, Garama, Dibema, Medoma, Marmem, Dijama, Nyema dawa rimbro chendo chule namra jave jat lada me bajro benzo zoba mazawa me bande tezo sanje damje je ngowo some balde lama dambe shanga ne chime tsewa samo lebra tobe kade taranje yendo oloranji Thu Chiến Trở Về Điện Tội Xe Ruột Xe Nê Chính Dễ Lòng Tu Su
Để thar men tre to ma se ru ron che tam ji jang lo ba la tri len de bu sa je ni se la long je du so nyam be ko ne di jen du ja le su ren je du so or ju ten ne zam de da jen du ja la da ne bu che je lo ma so wa da cha ye chan ne je ten ne
Now, this is the reciting together, the
taking
taking the pledge, and then requesting the teacher to accept us as disciples. Now, reciting together the dedication of merits. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience, may all worldly activities caused by the three poisons of greed, hatred, and ignorance, such as fighting and despising, be defeated. May all sentient beings be liberated from the worldly oceans of calamities brought about by the stormy waves of birth, sickness, old age, and death.
अहिले गुरु बाहिर पाल्नुहुन्छ तपाईहरु अघि जस्तै कोही पनि नउठ्नु होला है तपाई जहाँ बस्नु भएको छ त्यही बस्नु अनि खाता नफाल्दिनु होला अश्रद्धा हुन्छ अहिले बाटोमा जाँदाखेरि तपाईहरु जहाँ बस्नु भएको छ त्यही बस्नु होला नउठ्नुस् है
Now His Holiness is doing the conclusion ritual after having bestowed the empowerment.
Bây giờ thì Đức Pháp Vương đang làm thủ tục cuối cùng để kết thúc cái lễ quán đảnh.
The long life prayer of His Holiness.
Các Lama đang cầu nguyện trường thọ cho Đức Pháp Vương.
Sa de lon do be zala ye je ne do ja li she ge do ta de so nga wan ye to la de khuyên ye do do ga je te je do nga la phen de ba do bara be te le je Sa bele wan yin jam bo shab de so nam da tim de sren je sa she la te sa gun be re je do ma ze che je zam da je de ba ren je kya cho re wa lo bro te sho so Ya wa ni ba je je ko ma ni ya de je do ni ye se ma shi ya ve lo sa sa mo lo she na ya wa je she de je shab de so pin zo ya se de ye ta she ba Pa de sa ge che se palam ni ni cho zam le ze be gen de je shi sa son dro je ta de so
lu me la ma cho so tu je da yi da de son ja zo tu do da chu ni sa mo dre me den be te jin dra sa be de dum juro je me she so be guru ga nam che me se la mo chen de ma che me se la wa be cho nam ye che me se ye ngui do zang do so re sang be me to ye la ne ken je ne de ra so ni mo ro je sa de lo to be za la ge je ne de ja li xie ge do ta de so nga wan ju cho la re kun ye do do gun ga ze te che do nga lam pen de ba do ba ra be te le je sam be le wan ye ja bo shab de so nam da tim de sre ye sa she lam te sa gun be ren che do lo ma ze che je zum da je de ba ren ye cho re wa le bro te sho so gya wa ni ba je je go ma ni gya de che de ni ye te ma she gya be lab sa mo lob she nam gya wa je she de je shab de so pen zon ja se de ye ta she ba pal de sa je che se palam bara ne cho zam len ze ben gen de je je she sa so dro je ta de so le me la ma cho so to je da ye da de son ja ze to do da che ni sa mo de re me den be te je dra so de dun juro je me
कोही पनि नउठ्नु होला तपाईहरु जहाँ बस्नु भएको छ त्यही बस्नु है कोही पनि नउठ्नु खाता पनि नफ्याक्नु होला है खाता नफ्याक्नु
che me te la wa ve cho nam je che me te ye ngwe do za do so re sa be me te ye la ne ken je ne de ra so ni mo ro je sa de lo do be za la ge je ne Đức
Pháp Vương đã rời pháp tòa rồi, như vậy là lễ quán đảnh đến đây là kết thúc. Xin được tri ân công đức và tùy công đức của tất cả các quý vị đạo hữu. Xin gặp lại các quý vị đạo hữu và các buổi pháp tiếp theo do Đức Pháp Vương ban và các đạo sư ban vào ngày 7, 8, thứ Bảy, Chủ nhật tới đây. Xin được tùy công đức của tất cả các đạo hữu. Chúng ta hồi hướng công đức để chúng ta kết thúc khóa lễ. Bồ đề tâm dương, tâm tối thượng, tâm vô cùng chân quý. Nơi tâm ấy chưa sinh, xin cho tâm ấy nảy sinh. Nơi tâm ấy đã sinh, xin cho tâm ấy đừng bao giờ thoái chuyển mà mãi mãi một ngày một vươn lên cao hơn. Nguyện đem công đức này hướng về khắp tất cả đệ tử và chúng sinh đều tròn thành Phật đạo. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Xin được hẹn gặp lại các quý vị đạo hữu vào các buổi pháp tiếp theo.